Good morning and welcome to our last webinar for the year. We've had many successful webinars and we are so appreciative today, especially given the time of the year, that our member companies as well as our speakers have made the time to be available at our webinar today and to be available to give off their expert advice today to you. Our webinar is entitled Empowering Emerging Farmers for 2026 and Beyond. And before I get into our speakers and the way forward, I thought it would be nice for me to give a little bit of an introduction. And so to speak, what is happening currently is actually tying in so nicely with our webinar for this moment. So, Selo Makubela, who heads up the market for Johannesburg, has recently won, in Brussels for his contribution to the market in South Africa. 1 billion rand turnover, twice in 1 year from a fresh produce market in Johannesburg. I think that is exemplary. And Stella Marcobello has won the Global Manager of the Year from Brussels for running a market in Johannesburg, South Africa. And so there is a multitude of reasons for his win. But one of them is that he does not use imported solutions for local business. And I think that is such an important lesson for every one of us. Using international ideas to roll out local campaigns can really harm and hurt a brand. And so he did not get an MBA, he did not go the MBA route. Rather, he decided to understand small-scale farmers who wake up at 3 a.m. to feed the country. And so we look at 1 billion and we think, the financials are checked. But there's more than just a financial target here if we really look at it. Selo ensured he had women participate in agriculture. He ensured he respected the environment by putting policies in place for being completely responsible from a perspective of having environmental policies. And of course, he ensured inclusive growth. And that, folks, is not a CSI initiative. It is a man recognizing that your ecosystem determines your success. So this is a definition of excellence shaping an industry. In every industry, you have those companies that stand out in terms of excellence, and this is one of them. He understood what needed to be done, and he ensured he did that with excellence. And some call this award inclusivity, culture, accountability, and all of those nice terms that every one of us, especially corporate companies, use every day. But Selo calls it running your business like your grandmother and SARS are watching. So staying true to your tradition, being traditionally rooted while ensuring you are compliant. And I think that is what this win really is about. Staying true to your roots, understanding how your grandmother did business because it was very successful, and then doing business, but understanding that both your grandmother from a traditional point of view and SARS from a compliant point of view is watching. And that is what he calls it is that simple. Staying true to your roots while ensuring you meet the compliance standard required of your sector. And lastly, a market without farmers is not a market, it is a museum. So it is so important to stay compliant, to ensure that you don't just squeeze your farmers for margins, but you stay compliant, stay traditional, respect local, and make sure you run a professional business that is compliant. And after all, it is not a market, but an ecosystem. And understanding your ecosystem in every sector that you are in is so important. And so, with this said, I thought it would be very important for me to highlight from a proudly South African perspective what it is that we do and how we assist this sector and 25 other sectors to gain access to market. So as I said, understanding farming is so important, but understanding the ecosystem is just as important. So I am Alicia Logan. I head up the membership department at Proudly South African, and I'm here to talk you through Proudly South African, our mandate, and how we have gone beyond being an advocacy campaign and how we are now tracking against 26 different sectors and affording members across all sectors access to market opportunities. And one of it is in the farming industry. And I think that is so important to note. So I'm going to kill the camera so that I can put up my presentation and take you through a very quick overview on our access to market benefits and how we are assisting the sector. Okay, colleagues, I'm going to skip, I'm going to skip all of that and go directly to membership. So Proudly South African has always conventionally been known as, a buy local campaign, whereby we are actively advocating for the public sector, the private sector, and the general consumer to make a local purchasing decision. And while we haven't moved away from this, we are still here to cause the sectors, whether it be private, public, and the consumer, we're really here to push them to make a local purchasing decision. However, almost 3 decades in the making, we have evolved. We are not just an advocacy campaign, but we really are allowing our member companies across 26 different sectors to showcase their products and services and us afford them access to market opportunities. So if we look at membership, just a very quick general overview, in order for a company to become a Proudly South African member, we need to make sure that we take them through the vetting criteria. And the vetting criteria is really simple. However, it is very compliant. So you have to have your documentation in place. It has to be approved, it has to be updated, and it has to be relevant to what we're tracking in order for us to onboard you as a member company. So within my team, we have consultants, and the consultants will vet your business against local content, quality, environmental standards, and fair labor practices. Now, if we look at local content, it is so important to understand that as a buy local advocacy campaign, we need to make sure that 100% of your business is actually manufacturing or providing a service within the borders of South Africa. Now, we are also cognizant of the fact that we track 26 different industries or sectors. So not all sectors are or have 100% local content, because not all products are sourced or available here locally. As a result, we allow for these companies to have 50% or more of their products manufactured or their services provided within the borders of South Africa. How do we track this? We ensure that 50% of the total cost of production is done here within the borders of South Africa. So that is very important. Local content cannot be bypassed, and we cannot, afford companies that do not meet the local threshold membership. Because if you look at the screen currently, the logo on the screen is Proudly South African's currency. And as our currency, we need to ensure that a logo that denotes quality and confirms local content is respected, abided, and the vetting process aligns to the currency of this logo. Quality, very important. We need to make sure that if we take you to market, whether it be a Pick n Pay, Spa, Checkers, or we take you to hospitality, a hotel group, casinos, wherever it is that we take you or have you listed or offer you access to market, we want to make sure that the products that you supply meet the quality standards required by everybody in the country to ensure that people consuming your product does not get sick or animals consuming your product do not get sick. So quality is a non-negotiable, because when we put our logo on a product, it means that we do note that product as quality, and we will not respect products that need to enter markets that have not undergone the quality process, ISO certification, or test reporting. And of course, environmental standards is so important, especially in the farming industry, as quality would be, because what the farmers give you to consume, you need to make sure that it meets the quality standards, environmental standards. We need to make sure that what we take out of the earth gets put back, so that we create an ecosystem that can provide for generations to come. And of course, fair labor practices. We cannot say buy local to create jobs if we create jobs in environments that do not abide by the fair labor practices of the country. So it is very important that fair labor practices be abided by, and that corporates ensure that these companies, have policies in place that help, or ensure that the employees are covered. Then, of course, I'm not going to go too much into the pricing. The main benefits, and I think this is so important. One of the main benefits that we give to you initially as you become a member is access to the use of the Proudly SA logo. It is a recognized endorsement of local content and quality. As I confirmed to you, it is proudly South Africans' currency. It is who we are. It is, it is what we represent. It is our brand equity. So if we impart that logo onto you, it needs to be used correctly, and it needs to be used compliantly, because it represents something. Okay, and then access to market. And this is where I need to mention that access to market, we track 26 different sectors. So when we send you the membership application form, we make sure that at the end of the form, we show you the 26 different sectors that we track against. Farming is one of them. And I'll tell you why farming is such an important part of what it is that we do. Farming, as you may know, is the lifeblood of the economy. Without farmers, without fresh produce, and without this sector, the country is not just South Africa, but no country in the world can claim that they do not think of farming as the lifeblood of the economy. It's like saying farming, whether it be meat or vegetable, we don't need it. We don't need it. We can live without it. It's impossible. Farming is one of the main sectors in the country, and as such, we understand the importance that this sector has for our country, and for growth of the sector, and for inclusivity of the sector. And without being political, I want to say that it is so important for women as well as Black people to enter the arena of farming, because it is largely a sector that is to date, and 30 years after democracy, we are still feeling that there is not an equal, there's very little equality in farming across race and across gender. And this is important, because then it means that there is opportunity for women specifically to get into farming and to be able to be in an industry that is, confirmed to be the lifeblood of the country. So access to market in this industry is so important. And one of the ways in which we manage access to market for the public sector is through the CSD. So we receive first-hand, receive first-hand access to tender opportunities designated for local content by the DTIC. There's a recognition as a member, local manufacturer, and a service provider of high quality on National Treasury, CSD, or Central Supplier Database, so that you will stand out as a member company to officials that are doing state tenders or state procurement. Now, this is very important. So if you are a farmer and we receive a tender that says they need any item that is required by farmers in the country, whether it be, fresh produce or meat or fishery, this tender will get sent to you and you will be able to view as to whether you want to apply for the tender or not. Now, very important to note is that a Proudly South African does not allocate tenders. However, one of the benefits is that we put you on the CSD program. We highlight you as a Proudly South African member. We have agreements in place that local manufacturers and vendors at Proudly South African must be recognized. And of course, we have a consultant that sends out these tenders, making it easier for you as an individual. Instead of you going looking for it, you have first-hand access to it. Very important is that Proudly South African has launched an e-commerce division. So 2 things here, very important to note, is that we have strategic partnerships with some of the largest e-commerce stores in the country, like Takealot, Zulzi Marketplace, Macro Marketplace, Made by Artisans, BizMed, just to name a few. So if you wish to list on these sites, you advise us and we help you with the process. Of course, we've also launched our own e-commerce store in order to offer you, our member companies, the opportunity to sell through yet another access to market opportunity. And then I'm going to move away from this, but just to say we have a robust marketing department. So you as a farmer, if you wish to do business and you wish to get marketed and be seen out there, our marketing department is made up of brand, event, and PR. And we are happy to guide the process, take you to markets, take you to events, take you to exhibitions, and really help you with that sell-through. So that is there, and it is really a robust marketing division, and happy for you to join and reap the benefits from marketing. And of course, we have something that we've just launched. It's called MAP, Market Access Platform. So we urge all of our farmers as members and those that are not even members to become members, because you will then get listed onto the MAP program, the Market Access Program. And once you're listed there, we invite buyers to have a look at what it is that they require. So it really is a site where buyers meet suppliers. And very important, it serves as a procurement site for the private sector. So private sector buyers can meet suppliers, and you as a farmer can say, okay, but there's nothing there for me. I mean, corporate companies have canteens, they have events, they have large events that they go out for. There's so much of procurement that happens. So it's almost impossible to say within your sector that there's no opportunity for you, because every day and in every way, corporates are procuring across all the sectors that we have enlisted. And it is important for you to enlist on MAP for buyers to be able to use your services. And of course, I think what is also important, and I think this would be the right platform for me to advise. So we work very closely with the DTIC, and at the sector desk, they do international trade shows. And I've been with Proudly South African going on to 6 years now, and I've never seen any of our members apply to be in the international trade shows. And this is covered, the cost is covered by the DTIC. So it is a concerning factor, because to be exposed internationally, for you to be exposed, for you to showcase at some of the largest exhibitions in the world, and for you to get listed abroad is really a beautiful access to market opportunity. So I do hope people on the call today, especially across the industries and in farming, take advantage of this opportunity. It is so important. I mean, for you to be able to access international markets while also selling to local markets is really what, SMEs dream of. So please do use this opportunity, as it is very important. Then, of course, we have business and sector forums in terms of certain sectors, and we have participation in our flagship event, which is the country's Buy Local Summit and Expo. I think it's also important to gain visibility here. Across all sectors, the visibility is so great because you meet the private sector, you meet the public sector, you meet retail buyers, you meet wholesale buyers, and you meet government officials. So really in one event, you are meeting a multitude of sectors and people that can guide and offer you their support for your growth. It is important for SMEs to at some point graduate into larger businesses. So the opportunity really is there and very important. And I've just gone down to show you the different type of logos that we can give to you and the type of logos that you can use, once you become a member. And this really is, how we evaluate, how we vet our members, as I've already spoken, and our local content and some of the benefits. Here is MAP, the interface I spoke to you about, where buyers meet suppliers. And MAP explained in much more detail, but really to highlight, it is a procurement format where the country's largest buyers, procurement officials, come here to meet suppliers who are our member companies across 26 different sectors. Our focus on consumers, we did Dubai 2020 and how we, really focused on getting our member companies out there internationally. And of course, some of the things we do, we do mall activations, we do festival activations. I mean, a few days ago, we saw our marketing team at the halfway between between Johannesburg and Durban, showcasing their support for local procurement and wishing you well for the festive. We do many online competitions. We do consumer activations and, at malls, at exhibitions, at markets. We do university activations. We do consumer expos. We do some of the largest expos in the country, the Buy Local Summit and Expo, the Wine Expo. We participate in mining in Durban, manufacturing in Durban, Decorex, just to name a few. And of course, we support some of the country's largest events. So without going into too much of it, I think before even, playing our video, I think I'll play that at the end. I wanted to say that Proudly South African does support the sector. If you look at someone like South African breweries, for instance, the hops and barleys is purchased here and everything, and it's localized. So the raw material is localized and procured here. And for the magnitude of procurement that they do, it is such a blessing for our smallhold farmers to be able to be part and parcel of this procurement. And they're only one of the companies. There is so many other companies in the country that wish to buy local, and we require that member companies and other farmers that join really understand the inclusivity of the matter and really understand that there are people and associations backing them to grow, not just now, not just in 2026, but beyond. So without further ado, what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring one of our, just trying to get back. Okay, I'm going to get one of our speakers to join the panel right now and to really come in and speak to us about what it is that they do in the farming industry. And this speaker has been here for this is her second time, Daisy Moleko. Daisy does, rabbit farming, which is such a niche, something I would consider to be really niche. And Daisy, it's so important for you to come through and help us understand what it is that you do, how you've been able to scale and grow, and talk about profile your business and tell us what it is within your business you can give advice for others, especially women in farming, to join and also scale and add their bit to the economy. Daisy, welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Alicia. Thank you. Yes, this is my second presentation at Proudly South African. Finally, I'm a member. Okay. Can I have my slides up? Okay, thank you. I'm in rabbit farming for a very long time, doing a lot of research and development in rabbit farming. And it's more than 24 years now doing it. And the most successful moments that we had, it's to be the member of the Proudly South African finally, and then also to be endorsed by AFASA. AFASA, it's African Farmers Association of South Africa. We are endorsed as a commodity. Now we are known. Second slide, please. Okay, what we offer in rabbit farming, sorry about that. What we offer in rabbit farming it's training. We do training and workshops through our Rabbitry Academy. It's online platform, and farmers also, they get a chance to come to our Rabbitry to learn and to be hands-on. And then we also mentor and coach rabbit farmers and aspiring rabbit farmers. We have access to market. I was happy when you talk about the access to market, because City Deep gave us a platform through a Black-owned woman, Ms. Bongile Kele. She's the agent, the first Black agent at the market. So we sell through her. And then we also sell the rabbit urine and the manure. And then we do raw meat. We sell raw meat. We even process the meat as well. We have a Rebelicious cookbook that we sell online. And then we sell equipment for farmers. We have a rabbitry hardware where we sell all the equipment that a farmer needs to start a rabbit farming. We also have a library, because it's good for you to read and expand your knowledge, And then we collaborate and partner with farming colleges. We started last year to do that through the markets, the shows that we attend. And then at the shows, we will be promoting rabbit farming anyway, and what you can do, like nothing is wasted in rabbit farming. And then the colleges will have interest and say, let's sign a partnership or a collaboration. Then we do that. And then we also trying to have, not exactly trying, but we have a rep show, which we're trying to finalize it so that our farmers can be insured. Our farmers are not insured. When the HRDV virus arrived here in South Africa, it killed a lot of rabbits. So farmers, we don't have enough farmers because of that. We don't have enough breeders. So we need to secure ourselves, especially with the biosecurity, but we'll talk about that later. And then also in 2028 to 2030, we're planning to do leather processing using the rabbit hide, because the market is growing in leather processing. Next slide, please. Okay, we also developed a software. We have partnered with a company that developed a software for us. And then the software assists farmers to manage their farm, and also for us, to be easy for us to go and collect the rabbits that are ready to slaughter, and also to check if the farmer is struggling with feed, because some farmers, they overfeed the rabbits and say feed is expensive. Actually, to farm with rabbit, it's not that expensive because we use the same feed from birth to slaughter. We don't change the feed. So this software, it assists us to see if the farmers are not doing the right thing, and then we come in and assist. Next slide, please. And then we have different types of rabbitry setups. The farmer can start in the backyard and grow from there. And then some they start in smallhold farmers, like your plot, and then they can grow on the plot as well. But with the home-based one, the backyard, it's limited to number of rabbits that you need to produce. You can produce up to 1,000 rabbits. But with the plots and the farms, you are able to produce more. So we have different types and different sizes of setups there that shows you how to start and run a rabbitry. And when you build, you don't build for only 10 or 20 rabbits, you build for 1,000 rabbits because it expands quickly. They normally say rabbit, they breed non-stop, not with us. As we control the rabbit to mate, we have a production plan that we do with farmers where we control rabbits and so that you don't your structure don't overflow. Next slide, please. Okay, we also sell the rabbit urine and the manure, which we have tested to see how much nitrogen is in the rabbit urine and the manure. So the farmer as well, we buy back. When we work with farmers, we make sure that we buy back the urine and the manure because the market needs tons and tons of that. So if we buy back from them, it's another cash flow for them. So the manure is good as a fertilizer and a urine as a pesticide. So they work the same actually. It's just that with them the urine you spray on the plants to give your plants a healthy what you call, you understand, those who do crops. And then it strengthens the plant natural defense against diseases as well. So yeah. Let's go to the next slide. So our rabbitry urine, we sell it in different packages, from small packages to tons, because some farmers, they want it in tons. So the home-based farmers, they buy small packages. We do have those because it's organic. People now, they want to eat organically. Next slide, please. The abattoir. I was happy when Alicia talks about compliance. This is the most important part to comply. You need to slaughter your rabbit at the abattoir. We don't slaughter rabbit in your backyard and sell them. If you do that, know the people that you're selling to, because if people get sick or people die, you need to account as a farmer. So we use the accredited and the abattoir that is in line with the Department of Agriculture and Food Safety as well. So your abattoir service or your abattoir, whatever you slaughter at an abattoir, must have a receipt of that abattoir to show where you have slaughtered. If you sell your meat without that receipt, it's a problem. Thank you. Next slide. So we also have processed meat. We do your wors, your burgers, your biltong, your patties, your burger patties, your strips. There's a whole lot. We are now going to try and produce our own ham. We did first time, but it was not the one that we wanted. Now we're going to produce our own ham that I think we will take to the market. So that ham, we're going to do it with ARC. It will be assisting us to come up with that ham. And then I know it will taste nice because the one that we started with, it tasted nice and it was finished within 2 weeks. So even this new one that is coming next year, it will be the best taste. Thank you. Next slide. Okay, market opportunities. Rabbit farming or rabbit meat in South Africa has gained a popularity so far. We started when people didn't even understand why we killing rabbits, because they will say a rabbit is a pet. And I will say, no, as Black people, we don't have rabbits as pets. So we grew up, our grandfathers and our uncles going out and hunt rabbits, you know. So it's have been grown slowly, getting there. And then, like I said, we have an offtake agreement with City Deep Produce Market through Green Tree Agency, that is Ms. Bongile. So we use City Deep as our platform to sell to clients from outside the country. They can get our meat within the City Deep. That's what we do with them. And then also the rabbit production, it's emerging and growing faster because of people who love to eat healthy. People, they want to change from eating anything to eating healthy. So we educate and show people through our chefs, through our road shows. We get access to Rain Show, where we do cooking show. We're hoping this year we will be doing cooking show with Proudly South African, because we invite chefs, we bring them meat, they cook the rabbit meat, and clients start to taste the meat and understand the taste of the rabbit. They normally ask us how the rabbit tastes. I will say it tastes like rabbit, but how's the rabbit taste? So you need to taste it to understand how it tastes. So yeah, we have those activities that we do, and the road shows and marketing the meat. We don't lose hope. One day we will have 1 million people eating rabbit meat in South Africa. We're just pushing the branding and the promotion of the rabbit meat. And then in the neighboring markets, like other countries, I'm also one of the women who have access to embassies in South Africa. So they come and look for rabbit meat, but they want it halal according to their different countries where they come from. So it's getting an exposure on that. And fortunately, our abattoir is halal certified, halal registered. Next slide, please. I think I'm almost done, Sirone. Okay. Despite the strong policy intended on growing small farmers or smallholder farmers, still there are limitations in South Africa for small farmers. And then as we are doing rabbit farming, we encourage farmers to come on board and start rabbit farming with our guide. And then we mentor them, we coach them, and then I think limitations will start going down. And then South Africa also has made a commitment to empowering small business and emerging farmers through your land reform, your enterprise development, and agricultural support programs. Unfortunately, most of us, we don't have access to those. You have to start first, invest in your product, and then they will come and assist you after you have started. So it's the other way around. But we're hanging on there to get that. And then limited to market access also is a key challenge to smallholder farmers. And normally I will share an information of the City Deep fresh produce through Ms. Bongile to say women or smallholder farmers, here's an opportunity, connect with her, and then you'll get access to market. And some of them may refer them to Proudly South African to say, here's a platform, let's sell, register, comply, and then be part of these organizations. They will assist you. And then the other thing is that the smallholder farmers, they struggle to access the market because they don't have biosecurity. They don't have compliance, and especially on biosecurity, because you can't lose the whole of your livestock through the disease unless you don't have a proper biosecurity. With us, we don't allow people to just come in and visit. It's not a zoo. It's not where people come and see or watch rabbits. We farming for meat consumption. We need to secure our farm, and we need to be strict on biosecurity as well. So I will advise farmers to do that as well, and also to attend the skills programs and capacitate yourselves as well. Next slide, Lisako. I won't read anything or everything. I think my time is almost done. Compliance, we spoke about it. The next slide. I think we spoke about the whole of this as well. Okay, yeah. We have the cookbook, the Rebelicious cookbook. We will be start to work with the athletes. Athletes, they want to eat healthy and they know the rabbit meat builds muscles as well. So we will be tapping into the athletes platform as well to supply them with the meat. So we're not losing hope. We continue marketing and promoting the meat. Second slide. Okay, I think it's in closing now. This is who we are. This is what we have. This is what we've tried to have as rabbit farmers in South Africa. We also have the Brafasa, the Black Rabbit Farmers Association of South Africa that advocates for farmers. We have rabbit distributors that distributes the meat in their provinces. And then we also have a rab butchery. It's online, and you order and you collect, or we deliver to you at a fee. So yeah, thank you so much. I think that was my last slide. Yes, thank you.
Hi, Daisy. Thank you so much for that. I think, well, firstly, I must say thank you for becoming a member. It was a long time in the process. So thank you for that. Also,
Okay.
I think you just say I've been in the industry for 24 years, like it's not a thing. I think it's such a major thing, especially for a woman to be in the farming industry and doing what you're doing for 24 years. That is quite a milestone. So very well done on that.
Thank you.
I think you're doing an amazing job. And also, Daisy, I think just with regards to being this niche, I think it's quite niche what you're doing compared to, because I haven't seen many people doing what you're doing. So congratulations for doing that. Congratulations for being
Thank you.
almost 3 decades in the making for doing what you're doing and for your contribution to the sector. I think it's amazing. Thank you so much. If there's any questions, I will let you know. Thank you, Daisy.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Alicia.
Thank you. Colleagues, our next speaker is Greg Mkhize. Greg, I must say, you're going to come through and talk to, give us farming tips. And one of the things I want to say is that I so want to pronounce the community farming project that you manage, but I don't want to make a mockery of the name. So can you please introduce that name, please? So Greg, the floor is yours, and we welcome your tips. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, our company name is, our organization name is Siweisile Indlala Community Farming Project. Siweisile Indlala, it means we have conquered hunger. And Siweisile, remember again, I will say it again, like I said it last week, that Siweisile is an only organization in Soweto that is certified organic by PGS, which is Participatory Guarantee System, and also South African Organic Sector Organization. We produce everything from the scratch, like your pesticide, your fertilizers, your vermicompost, we are the only ones that are supplying organic seedlings, and we produce your high quality crops like your Jerusalem artichokes, like your turmerics, like your herbs, like a stinging needle. We have stavias, we have lemon balms here, we have a lot of kinds of herbs. What we will encourage, and then also we teach starting from grade R till grade 7 high school kids and university students. They are coming here to do the practicals as well. So what we do precisely is that we help farmers to start small. And how so? if you are farming, you need to know exactly what you are doing, but start small because of the market and stuff. But now, since we are organic, we encourage farmers to be certified, uh, organic, and then to be different as well. So the most important thing is that I remember farming goes hand in hand uh, with with an environment. So we encourage farmers not to buy synthetic fertilizers, but create their own because of everything it is expensive. And we encourage farmers to do the best for their communities because of, remember, we are the small scale farmers, and then we are emerging farmers. Also, we are the startups. So what we tell everybody is that in your community, when you start, involve the community members, show community members how you do things. And then there's no need for you to take your small produce to take it to the market. Why so? Because of, remember, if you do that, the farmers, they will be farmed. Like when you produce a quality food that's certified, and then you take your quality food to the Joburg market, what is going to happen there? Because of you won't get exactly what you need. Sometimes your produce won't be sold. So we need to involve the community and do the research around the communities. And no, remember, we know that each and every household spend about 450 rand a month for vegetables. While you are producing around there, remember that where is your community buying the vegetables? And then when you are a farmer again, we encourage them that if you can't sell your fresh produce, try to process your food, hydrate your food, save the food, and then have small animals in your farm as well. Build have a shop inside your farm that, and then you can start building an enterprise whereby you have a vegetables aside, and then everything you can start to sell your cold drinks, your things that they sell at the shop, and then create the shop at your farm where people they can come through and buy. Remember, we are trying to build a system whereby people they come to your farm, and then if you have a one person that comes to your farm and buy, it is possible to get another person to come and buy something from your farm, and then have modules how to sell. We encourage farmers, please make sure that you learn every time, and then you upgrade yourself every time. And then we need to show people that we can make it, because of if you have a small land, you can't compete with commercial farmers. If I sell my spinach for 15 rand, the commercial farmer will sell their spinach for 4 rand to the shop. So you can see that we as a small farmers, we won't make money. We can't compete with conventional farmers. So we need to create a lot on a small space, and then we are able then to compete with the price. Then we don't have a middleman in between. So we know that when we teach our communities about nutrition, about how we grow food, about how we do things in a farm, so it is better that you will know that you'll have in the community that will support you. So the farmers in the townships, the farmers on the rural areas where they have a small land, and then in a limited space, you can grow and then you can survive, but you need to be strategic on that. Build a shop where inside your farm. Even you can build them kukunyana and then just brand it, that have a signage there that you are selling, and then you will always sell your vegetables. You will always have people coming through to your farm. So we encourage everybody, be different, be certified with PGS and SAOSA. It is very cheap. It is not like a gap. So it's a community where everybody is doing agroecology production. So if you come along and then we do this as a community, we can have our own different things. We can have our own certified organic farmers market. We can have our own, organic produce. Remember, in the townships, there's nowhere you can get an organic shop. Remember, if we create, just think about it, creating an organic shop that is certified in a township, and then you create an eatery where people, they can come through and buy in a township, but it will be, you will make people to come to your shop and your eatery, and you can even create jobs on that, because there's a lot we can do in the townships. Because of, remember, people claim that there is no jobs. There's a lot of jobs at the farm. We are working all the time. I'm still at the farm right now. We are doing a lot of things at the farm. We integrated everything. Even Ma'am Daisy there, I know her very well, and then she's a good friend of mine. But we do also have rabbits here. We have pigs here. We have chickens. We are starting to teach people that you can even do this at your backyard and survive on this. But we need to start to teaching the young ones, because of, if we die now and then we live the everything that we know, we will know that we are out of farming business, because of, we need teachers as well to teach people how to farm, and then how to do urban farming. There's a technologies that we use that saves water, that saves space. People need to learn that. So that's why we are teaching. That's why we have Entrepreneurship Academy online. That's why we are bringing people to come and tour the farm and then train and start to doing what we are doing. I think we can scale up with what we are doing right now. And yeah, it's a lot that people need to learn, because of when we go, because of now we can assess, we can certify, we can audit other farmers. But now when we go to other farmers inside the townships, it shows that people need to be taught how to do things, because of everybody claims that they are farming organic. But when you see the structure and how they do things, the standard, it's so low. But we need to teach our people how to do things, and then how to do things right, so that we can survive in the farming industry. There is no need to have a 100-hectare farm whereby you need to buy the trucks and stuff. We can't compete with those guys. Let's start small and supply our communities. There's a lot and lots of people inside your community. If you can go house to house and say, I can sell my spinach and my onion to you twice a week, because of people are eating those things each and every week. So there's a lot of business, and then there's a lot of ways how to make money. But the high valued crops that I'm talking about, they can help people also to do the passive incomes. Like an example, if you teach your community about Jerusalem artichokes, other people, they don't know what the Jerusalem artichokes is. They don't know. We need to teach people the benefits of eating it, and then the benefit of drinking it, the benefit of cooking it, and then how it can be done. It's so expensive, because of, I know some people, they're selling that Jerusalem artichoke for kg about 250 rands. Imagine planting those Jerusalem artichoke and introduce it to your communities, and then showing them how the importance of that's a kind of business that we want our people to go through, and then see how they can make money, because of, there's a lot that we can do, but we need help from other people. But to starting small, I think it's a great thing to do. Yeah, I think it's that. Yeah, thank you very much, guys.
Rick, thank you so much for that. I can see that you're so passionate about what you do. And also thank you so much for advising what the name means. I think that is such a authentic, beautiful name. I think also it's very important that we see you in your setting, and I think that it shows your passion for what you do. And if there's any questions that are coming through on the chat box or even on social media, we'll let you know. But thank you very much for your contribution. It really is inspiring. Thank you. So, colleagues, we move on to our last speaker for the day, and this is SARS. So I think this is the SARS in Free State of Bloemfontein, and they are going to come through and talk to us about compliance. As I said to you, it's so important that within a farming business you do two things. You do things traditionally, so that you meet the requirements of the local of the country of origin, because things are done here traditionally, but also you do things compliantly so that your PSARS and your business is a professionally run SME business. So without further ado, I'm going to call on SARS. Why haven't they given me a name for SARS? They just said SARS. I assume is it Francois or who's coming through from SARS? Vikas.
Hi, good
Vikas.
morning. Yes, it's Vikas.
Hi, Vikas. I'm sorry for that. I see it says SARS here. Everyone else said a name, so I'm sorry for that. Vikas, welcome. Thank you so much. We really look forward to the advice that you will be rendering to our members or our farmers, because I think this is something that there's so many questions with so little answers. So welcome, and we really await the opportunity to be educated by you. Thank you.
Great. Thanks a lot. And yes, once again, as mentioned, my name is Vikas Skeepers. Yes, I am from the Free State Department, situated here in Bloemfontein. We're in the branch, but we're part of a department called TBB, Tax-Based Broadening. And yes, I'm here to take you through the introduction to farming. I'm going to touch on compliance as well. And thanks to everybody for listening. I think due to time constraint, I'm not going to go through the points of discussion because we're going to go through it as we go through the presentation. So I'm going to get to the chase right away to what is the definition according to SARS for farming. On the screen, you will see farming isn't defined in our act as such. Reason for that is farming nowadays is quite broad. As we heard from Greg, we talk about Jerusalem artichoke. Like previously, if you talk about farming, we have pig farming, animal, cattle, we have sheep, chicken, all those. But it keeps on expanding. Nowadays, we have rabbit farming. We have all these things that's coming abroad to farming. So therefore, if you look at the definition where SARS says, that is where we will go to relevant court cases or case laws. And if you look at court cases in the past, it just says, it's a suggestion that as long as a taxpayer can provide that he's busy with the activities of a farming, we will include it as farming. So there's not a definite definition where it states that farming is cast in stone precisely this or that. So the main thing is, if you have a land, you have to develop that land. That means you're either going to plow, plant, or if you have field, you're going to graze it with your cattle. As long as you can provide SARS and actually inform SARS, but this is what my intention is with the land. Because just to stay on a farm doesn't mean actually you're a farmer. Maybe you just want to be a little bit further from your neighbors. But the moment you are activities that is in the line of farming, then SARS will say, yes, we grant you as a farmer. So that's the only reason why there isn't a definitely definition for farmers. We will look at each and every case individually. So when you are farming, you can choose either you're going to be a natural person or a sole proprietor, normal farmers as we know them. You can also do your farming activities in a partnership. This partnership here is where you have natural persons, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 farmers coming together, form a partnership. You can also farm in a trust, a close corporation, or a company. And then you can also have a combination of the above. So it can be where you have maybe a joint venture. One of the partners is a trust. The other partner might be a company. It's not to say it have to. It can be a 2 trust, but it can be a trust, a company, and an individual if you want to. So there's only the only difference between the combination where you might have a joint venture versus a normal partnership where you will have your natural persons that forms a partnership for your farming. If we move on to the next slide, it's also very important, as we know, as we have said, what is the definition of farming, it's also very important to know what will not be included into your income as a farmer. So if you're a farmer, one of the examples that I mentioned there, a farmer might be breeding horses. So your breeding with horses will go as a farming activity. But the moment you might use your own horses for horse racing, that portion of your activities then will go through as other income, SARS will call it maybe business income, that will not form part of your farming. So your farming must be directly linked to what you either plant or farm with. Another example can be you either rent out your whole farm or a portion of your farm. That will just mean that will also be other income and not farming as such. The third and last example we have there is where you're renting a service. So if you're going to plow for yourself, you plant, let's say, mealies or maize, and you harvest it yourself, that will also be part of your farming activities. But it can happen that you will go and harvest for someone else, maybe a neighbor, or go and plow for a neighbor, so you use your equipment. That portion will not form part of your farming income. But bear in mind, it doesn't mean that income now all of a sudden is exempt. No, it's still going to form part of your income, but not as farming income as such. So you still have to declare both the incomes. A little bit down, I'm going to give you a bit more clarity as to why we won't include those type of, let's call it other income, not as farming income. There's a good reason for that. So as we mentioned earlier, you have your sole proprietors, you have your companies and your trust. Also bear in mind there's different tax rates for each and every type of entity. The moment you are a sole proprietor or a private farmer, you will be taxed according to the tax tables for individuals, which starts as low as 18%, and yes, it goes as high as 45%. The partner that I've mentioned, where you have a partnership with individuals, that will also be taxed on the individual tax rates, but it will be taxed according to your percentage from the partnership. So it can happen you have a partnership, two partners, maybe we have a 50-50 share. That will mean the net income of a partnership, we can divide it into two, 50-50, and with that 50%, then we will go to the individual tax tables to see precisely where you fit in between the 18 till the 45%, and we will tax you accordingly. We also had trusts, but with a trust, it is taxed at a flat rate of 45%. So that means there's no rebate. The moment you are farming in a trust, you either bought your land in a trust, that normally happens, or you can farm in the trust. That will just means your net income after you have distributed whatever income to the trustees, whatever amount is left in the trust will be taxed at a flat rate of 45%. There's unfortunately no exemption on that. So after you have did your distributions, your payouts, let's take an example, there's 1,000 Rand left in the trust. That will mean 45% of that 1,000 Rand will be taxed at the end of a year, which calculate to about 450 Rand. So it's quite a high type of tax that you're going to pay. And then lastly, we have closed corporations and companies. Both of them are taxed the same. They are taxed at the standard rate of 27%. So it's the very same as a trust. You're going to have your income with all your expenses. You paid out your salaries, directors' fees, all those. If there is any amount left in the company at the end of financial year, that will also be taxed at 27%. So that's basically just how SARS will apply the different tax rates, depend on how you operate your farm, from a sole proprietor through to a trust, company, or a closed corporation. Which deductions will be allowed for a farmer? So if you're going to plant, there's going to be the cost of a seed, fertilizer. If you have to plow, there will be diesel a bit down. We're also going to look at diesel. You might pay out salaries, wages, any expenses relating to rations to your employees. That means if you buy groceries, all those type of directly business or farming related expenses will be granted as a deduction. You might have cost of repairs of farm buildings. Remember, this is repairs of farm buildings. You don't erect a new farm building because that will be of capital nature. But the moment you have a building and it needs reparations, that will also form part as your farming expenses. And then any other expenses that is directly related to farming that hasn't been mentioned up here will be granted to you. And then lastly, you can have wear and tear. We're also going to look at the wear and tear. There's a special wear and tear that is applicable only to farmers. So SARS tried to accommodate them for that as well. So other special allowance for farmers, if you might have capital expenses like irreadiness of noxious plants or prevention of soil erosion. If you have one of those expenses, you will see it is not limited to the farming taxable income. I'll explain that one to you now. Or you can decide you have to fix a dam or build a new dam. There might be irrigation schemes, boreholes, and pumping plants, or fences that you need to put up or fix, or dripping tanks. Those last examples, you will see, is limited to the farming taxable income. So what does SARS mean here? The moment you have your income from your farm, maybe you sell cattle, you sell your cattle, you have all those other expenses that we have mentioned previously. You have your animal feeds and medicines, whatever, labor, all those different expenses, and you get to a net income of, let's take an example, 100 of, let's make it 10,000 rand. And if you have prevention of soil erosion, for argument's sake, and that costs you 30,000 rand, you'll see we say it's not limited to the farming taxable income. So remember, you have your other expenses. These expenses we will keep separately because these are special allowances, a special type of expenses that you may deduct. So you have your net income of 10,000 rand. You have prevention of soil erosion of 30,000 rand. That just means the 10,000, we're going to allow you the 30,000 expense for the soil erosion. So you might get on paper, make a loss of 20,000 rand for that specific tax year. But with the last one where we say dams, irrigation, boreholes, so all these you basically can remember is got to do with water, and you have your fence and your dripping tanks. For those, if we take the same example and you have a net profit after your normal all other expenses of 10,000 rand, then, so once again, these expenses we're going to keep separately. Né? So now you have your net profit of 10,000 rand. Maybe the building of the dam was also 30,000 rand. So now we're not going to allow you to deduct the full 30,000. Your profit is only 10,000. We're only going to allow you expenditures up till the point of 0 rand income. So that means we're going to allow you 10,000 rand for that expenses for building the dam. What's going to happen to the other 20,000? So for this specific tax year, your income for the farming will be 0. But the 20,000 will be on our system and we will carry it forward. And you're going to get it as soon, either next year or whenever, the moment you have a taxable farming income, it will be offset against it as well. So that's basically the difference between the two. The first one might reduce your taxable farming income, or if you already made a loss, it will increase your loss. But the second one with a dam and all the waters and the boreholes and those you just can get up to a 0 rand. So your taxable profit can go only till 0. If it's more than that, then we will carry it forward to the next year. So it can't increase your farming loss. Then a second special allowance that we have, this is only applicable to farmers as well. So if you have a normal business, this will not be applicable to you. It's the Section 12B special allowance, and you will see where it is actually in respect of machinery, implements, and so that can be your tractor, the bucket. It must be a single cab bucket. Eh? So it can be the bucket that you bought. It can be implements for a tractor. It can be plows. It can be any of those machinery that you use on the farm directly for farming. How will this work? If you read there, you're going to see you're allowed to deduct it over 3 years. The first year we say the cost, you allowed to deduct 50% of that cost. Second year, 30%, and then 20%. Just a brief explanation. Once again, so you're going to have your income. For your farming, you have your normal other expenses. This one is also the very same as the previous slide. We're going to keep it separate from your other expenses. So now you have a profit of, let's say, 10,000 rand once again for the year, but you bought maybe a tractor. Let's not make it a huge amount. Let's make it 100,000 rand for the tractor. And this tractor is you will be able, wherever you paid off monthly, let's assume your installment at the bank or wherever you bought it is 1,000 rand a month. So you're actually for the whole year just going to pay 12,000 rand off for that tractor. But for SARS purpose, for your financial statements, you're allowed to deduct 50% of the cost of the tractor. So if you take 100,000 rand, 50% is 50,000 rand. So SARS say, just to give you a benefit on paper, you're allowed to deduct 50,000 rand and not just the actual amount that you paid, that was maybe 12,000 rand. And then in your second year, the 30%, and in the third year, 20%. So it's just give you a bit of a benefit where you can write off or have a bigger expense than you actually have occurred for that machinery, tractor, or whatever you bought. Also, what is very important, it might happen you're either going to buy that tractor only maybe in December. Remember, if you're an individual, your financial year or SARS's financial year ends on February. That means you will only have that tractor for 2 months. But for farmers, we're not going to go and do a pro rata and say it's 50% that you're allowed to claim, but you have only used it for 2 months for the financial year. So we're going to say times 2 months divided by 12. No, for farmers, whether you have it in 1 month in your books, whether you have it bought it for 11 months ago already, you're allowed to deduct the full 50% in your first year. But I can also just mention here, this is not just for new equipment. You can buy second-hand equipment. The main thing here is you must brought it into use for your farming for the first time. Then you can get a 50%. So don't just go and think 50% must be a new tractor, must be a new bucky, must be new implements. No, it can be second-hand. It can even be maybe a bucky that you have prior to your farming. Maybe you work somewhere, you already bought a bucky just to travel up and down. Just bear in mind, it must be a single cab. Double cab is more for passengers. Single cab is for business or farming. If you have already have that one, and a year later, when you maybe retire, you start your farming, but you're already in possession of that bucky, you're still allowed to deduct 50% of the value of that bucky the year you start farming. So I just want to clarify that it doesn't mean 50, 30, and 20% must be on new products. No, it can be second-hand ones as well. The main thing there is you must use it for the first time, then you can deduct the 50, 30, and 20%. I think just for time constraint, I'm not going to go into that into crop farming. We all know crop farming. You have your vegetables that you plant. So this is just basically the 3 major type of farmings that SARS will have. But as I said, bear in mind, farming isn't cast in stone for the definition. You just have to convince SARS that I am busy with farming activities. But if you have crop farming, that can be for food, for animal food, that can be animal feed, or for commercial use. All those type of farmings will go through as crop farming. Where we can think of vegetables, there can be there's fruit farming, and nowadays, not nowadays, it's quite a while, but you have even flowers where they plant flowers to sell. So it's just an indication as how broad farming nowadays can go. The next one, livestock farming. Also, once again, if you're going to see there, the word livestock farming is not defined in the first section of the Income Tax Act. It says the general term livestock that SARS will accept is any animal kept or dealt with for the use of profit. So that means it doesn't just mean you have to buy sheep or cattle and for the purpose to make them fat, maybe to let them grow and resell them. No, it can be animals that you keep. You might have, as we mentioned earlier, horses. You have a horse breeding, and the offsprings or the young or the foals, those are the ones that you're actually selling. So farming, that's why we don't have a definite definition for livestock. We will say any animals that you will keep for yourself for breeding purpose or those that you're going to sell. When it just says livestock will include animals held for breeding purpose. That we normally call fixed capital, but that's just a term that we use. Or it can be floating, is those animals that you're going to keep, maybe make them fat to resell them. So that's basically for livestock farming. Then a very interesting one is, if you're going to look at this slide, we talk about livestock farming, where we have standard values. Now, the first one, so if you're going to take the first one, where you have a bull, standard value 50 Rand. Now, I think especially we have all these farmers here online, they're definitely going to start laughing and say, yeah, if you can buy a bull for 50 Rand, I think I'm going to buy 100 or 1,000. The main purpose for this is also, I'm just going to give you a little bit of background why SARS have this. Once again, if you look at your financial statements that you have to submit annually, you will have your income. And remember, I said then you have your expenses. The first thing on your expenses is your cost of sales. Once again, if we can take an example of maybe a cattle farm, you buy cows or you buy cattle, you might have some that is your opening stock from the previous year. During the year, you bought some more, maybe new ones were born, and then you have your stock at the end of a year. Those, the begin stock plus the purchase, less your closing stock. That is basically how they calculate your cost of sales. So you have your income, less your cost of sales, less all your other expenses. If you go through that formula, you will actually see that your closing stock will actually increase your sales. So yes, your closing stock, you still have those cattle on your farm. You didn't sell them, so it's not part of your sales. But it is, if you look at your financial statements, it's going to be your sales of your livestock, and then you have to add your closing stock. So if I take a small example here, maybe your sales was only 10,000 Rand for the year, but you have one bull, only one bull on your farm left. Normally that bull will sell between 15,000, depends on the size, 15,000 to 20,000, maybe even more. So if we stick to the actual market value, you might have 10,000 Rand income plus a 15,000 Rand for your bull. So there your income is already 25,000 Rand. Even though you didn't sell that bull, it's just still in your possession, but that's the way how we determine the financial statements. Versus where if you can go now and you have to use the standard values, you still have your 10,000 Rand sales, but now you have one bull, only 50 Rand. So now your income is 10,050 Rand. You see, it will actually reduce your legally your income for the farmer. So don't think this is a funny thing where SARS have all these. We know if you look at these, you have horses for 40 Rand, you have a sheep for 6 Rand. This is actually to assist the farmers to try to reduce the income as far as possible. So this is basically just the standard values. You'll find it on our website as well. This is for your begin and closing stock. If you bought cattle, obviously that will be the price you paid for it. You're not going to buy a bull for 50 Rand or for 50,000 Rand and just add it to your income as 50. This is just for opening and closing stock. Then we can go over to game farming, also not a new thing, but it's a relative new type of farming that's been here for a couple of years. That is where you farm with, let's call it wild animals. You might have antelope, you might have zebras, whatever. Those type of farming is where SARS will say the definition is where you keep those animals as live animals, maybe for hunting purpose, to slaughter them, to sell the animals, to sell the meat. So all those will go through as game farming. On the next slide, you will just see what is excluded. They will say anything that is not actually part of your game farming will be something that you might normally find on a farm, like foxes, rodents. I'm not sure about hyenas as such, but all those other animals that is also wild animals that you will find, there might be wild cats, those type of things. If you don't specifically keep them, but they are on your farm, there we just mentioned to you, then those will be excluded from your game farming. So the game farming is actually those antelopes or the zebras, whatever you actually bought to farm with. And then they just go as well far as say, once again, the very same as livestock farming, always at the beginning of a year. If you're individual, it's the 1st of March, and then the end of the year, 28th February of the next year, you must always keep the values of your stock. So you must be able to tell SARS, I have X amount of this antelope, I have X amount of zebras when I started my financial year, and after a year, maybe these were hunted, these were slaughtered. This is my closing stock. Just important, you have to keep those records as well. Then also on farming, for game farming, we will just mention on the first block, we will just tell you, you're allowed to deduct any other expenses as a normal livestock farmer. There's carbon dioxide levies, but anything that you use for your normal livestock farming, like your salaries, your expenses, maybe feeds, you did your fence, you built a dam, all those expenses, the very same for game farming. It's not treated any other than that. The only difference is where you're going to see your standard values for live farming, livestock, for game farming. You're allowed to make it the value a 0. Remember, it's not the same as the previous slides say you still have to tell us I have springboks of about 20 springboks at my farm, but the value where we had the bulls for 50 Rand and the cows for 40 Rand, here you're allowed to make the value a 0. Because there's different values for those. You have these hunting, you have these trophies. So if you take a zebra is not with all the farms precisely the same. Therefore, SARS say you're allowed to use the value as a 0 Rand, but you still have to inform SARS this is the amount of stock that I have left. And then on the other side, they also say if someone donates maybe game to you or you inherit whatever, those you have to keep at market value. So this one is the very same where you have normal livestock and you bought something. As I mentioned, then you're not going to say the bull is 50 Rand. You're going to use the market value. Then with livestock for game farming, it's just if you inherit it or you buy it or someone donated. Maybe someone say, yes, I have this one zebra here. You can take it because you're actually a game farmer. That will be then included at market value. Then the very same as we had previously, what is part of my farming and what is not included. So if you're a game farmer, you're most probably going to sell either some of the game as livestock. So that will be included. If you have hunters, maybe who comes to the farm to hunt animals, or you're going to sell the meat or the skins, all those income that is directly linked to the game farming will go through as farming income. Even if you have maybe a guide, you have a farm, you have a guide that they can use to go, if they want to go and hunt a specific type of antelope or something, and they want to use one of your guides or your trackers, that is all those that is directly linked will be going through as game farming. Things that will not be considered as farming income for game now is most of those hunters stay there for a day or two. Those accommodation or the catering, if they want you to provide them with food, those will not go through as the farming income as such. This will also, once again, the same as the where you go and plow for someone else, this will be additional type of income. Once again, you're going to calculate for it, but you just now going to add it to the farming income. And it's the very same, you might get people who's just staying at the farm and for purpose for holidays, and therefore those will also not go through. And it's for the very same reason as for the livestock, as we mentioned, that you still have to calculate for it, but the reason why we keep it separately because of those other allowances that you might get. Then very important, you can also, the moment you are a farmer, you can register for a diesel refund. For diesel refund, you have your offshore mining, you have your rail, but very important, relating to you, you have your farmers. So if you want to register for diesel, just bear in mind, you first have to register for VAT, and then you can also register for diesel, and then you're going to get a portion of your diesel that you have used, the liters, as a refund. Underneath there, it says in red, please note diesel, which is not used for that is used for other activities may not be claimed. Where we say harvesting those things, once again, if you plow and plant for yourself and you harvest your own crops, those diesel you can claim back from SARS. But if you do it for someone else, remember when I said maybe I'll go and plow for a neighbor farm, those will not go through as diesel that I'm allowed to claim back. It must be diesel directly to your very own farming. To register for this diesel, the main thing is you first have to be registered for VAT itself. When you register for VAT, you can register for diesel as well. Or you have been registered for VAT, never knew that you can register for diesel, you can always register for diesel afterwards. You can use the VAT 101D form. You can file it on e-filing, and then you can register for diesel. The main thing here is if you have registered for VAT, let's say 2 or 3 years ago, and you only want to register for diesel today onwards, you will not be able to claim the diesel backwards, but from today forward, you will be able to claim your diesel as well. If you wonder how it works, it's going to be on your VAT 201 that you filed every second month or once in 6 months, depends on the way you are registered. On that very same form, that is where you will be able to claim your diesel back. Then we're also almost done. Once again, record keeping. All documents should be kept for a period of 5 years. What's very important here, your records you have to keep for 5 years, provided you have filed it to SARS. So that means if you filed your 2020 tax return, now it's 2025 already, you're allowed to start destroying those documents. But if you never filed your 2020 tax return to SARS, even though it's already 5 years, you can't destroy those documents. You have to keep them for 5 years after you have submitted your returns to SARS. Also, a very important point is you have to keep separate bank accounts. So you must have, even if you're a sole proprietor, you must have one for yourself and for your farming. If you have a company and you're farming in a company, you must have a bank account in the name of the company. Also, very important, you as a farmer, whether you're a sole proprietor or a company, always remember to be tax compliant, you have to be registered according to whether you're a company or a sole proprietor. Very important, you have to be registered. If you have any farm workers, you also have to register them for income tax. Or not you, but they have to be registered for income tax themselves. And bear in mind, if you are registered for tax, doesn't mean you're going to pay tax. So if you have a farm worker who's getting way below the tax threshold, yes, they must have a tax number because they are employed, but it doesn't mean because you have a tax number, you're going to start paying tax as well. No, your income have to be above the threshold. Then lastly, from SARS, we actually want you to go and visit our digital channels. You don't always have a time to go to a SARS office. Maybe you have a small query, something that you want to know. You're welcome to go to our digital channels. You'll see there's a USSD number that you can dial from your phone, any type of phone that you have. It's *134*7277#. If you don't have a smartphone, you're welcome to send us a normal SMS. There's a WhatsApp line there as well. I think it will be welcome if you can take a screenshot of these. There's the Mobi app. Bear in mind, the SARS Mobi app is only for individuals. Or you can visit our website and you go to the SARS online query system and you will find there an AI assistance. If you're not sure about anything, whether you can claim it, do I have to register, type in your request there, you're going to get your answer back immediately. And that is on my last slide. Therefore, I thank you. I hope I didn't chase too fast through everything. If there's any questions, I know the questions is afterwards. I was just thinking, because we have a time constraint, that's why I rushed through it. Thanks a lot.
Vikas, thank you so much for that. It's not a question per se, but a request. The only request we have, and I don't know if you're able to share, is there any presentation that you are able to share with the guest on the call so that they can use this as a frame of reference afterwards?
Yes, I will definitely share it. Do you want me to share it on the comments?
You can share it with Lesego, and then he'll share it with the relevant
I did share with him earlier this morning as well.
Oh, then it's fine. That's perfectly fine. Because all I have is people asking for the presentation. There's a question from Greg. Greg, you're welcome to come in.
Thank you very much. Muscus, I just want to ask you something. As we run as a non-profit company, and we know that it is profitable on what we are doing, but we are doing a non-profit, and then how can you advise in order for us, must we keep on doing on a non-profit because of we doing a lot of things under this non-profit, but we know that it is profitable and yeah, it is profitable, yeah, but we are doing under a non-profit. But I just want to ask whether it is good to do that or must we maybe register on other company?
Okay. To answer you 100% right, I need a bit more information. But what I can tell you, if you have a non-profit organization and you do fall within, if your constitution is that of a non-profit organization, you're welcome to continue with that. Bear in mind, you must just be trading as what your constitution commands you to do. And bear in mind, a non-profit organization is also taxable. We tax it, it's the very same as a company at 27%. But if you fall within the scope, if you go to our website and you look at non-profit organizations, you can see you can change your NPO to a PBO, public benefit organization. I don't say you have to do it. It's up to you. You have to go on this site. A public benefit organization is not taxable. We tax that at a zero rate, so you're not going to pay tax there. But it all depends on precisely how you operate with your company. So it's from this point of view, it's very difficult for me to tell you, no, stop that one. You have to open a company. It all depends whether you're still in line with your constitution.
Oh, thank you very much. Because yes, we have a PBO, meaning we'll continue doing it. Yeah, no, thanks very much for that.
Thank you so much for that. Just also another question. I'm just trying to read this carefully quickly. And Nkosazana, hello, can I come in to add a few things? Yes, you're welcome to come in.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
This is Mahlatse Ledwaba from SARS. I'm the specialist in the product and process responsible for diesel refunds. I just want to add a few things. Diesel refund is currently under modernization. We are moving out of the VAT system, so the registration and the claim process will no longer be on the VAT system, also no longer be on the VAT form. So phase one has been roll out. However, we're still doing the testing with few clients to check the stability of the system and all that. So all the current registrants will be required once the system is ready to re-register in the new system, which is a standalone modernized system. And that system, there are also changes to the legislation. One of the major changes is there won't be a need for one to register for VAT before they can register for diesel, because the modernized system is out of the VAT system. Anyone who qualifies can come and register without first registering for VAT. And the other change is there won't be a need for one to be conducting activities for their own, meaning even if you're a contractor buying diesel and doing qualifying activities, you will be required, you can register and claim for refunds. But remember, those are still, it's in the new legislation and can be done in the new system. But now we are still claiming on the old system and registering on the old system. But there will be communication. There was a socialization session last month on the 27th of November, whereby there were invites, and then external stakeholders, the farmers industry and all that, were invited to attend, and we presented all this. So there will still be more sessions, hopefully, and more communication. Also, the presentation which we did on the 27th of September, it's on the SARS website. The other thing about records logbook, it's very crucial that you keep your logbooks, because if there are no logbooks and you're selected for an audit, the refunds will be rejected. Thank you. That's all I wanted to add.
Thank you so much for that. I just have one question that I'm trying to break it down. Colleagues from SARS, the question is, if I am a general NPO, do I still need to be taxed? And let's answer that, and then I'll come through with the second part of the question. Vikas, maybe you?
Okay, just for clarity, you say if you are a general NBO.
NPO, non-profit
Oh,
organization.
a general non-profit organization.
Yeah.
Yeah, a normal non-profit organization, if you haven't converted it to a PBO, it is taxable at 27%, the same as a company.
Same as a company.
Even
And
though
then
it's a non-profit organization, yes.
yeah, and then if they convert the question is actually three parts. So once we convert to I think, what are they saying? A public non-profit, what is it?
Yeah, it's a PBO, public benefit organization.
Yeah, okay, they're saying something. Yeah. So then are they tax exempt, or do they charge VAT? So okay, I'm trying to understand the question because it's written quite long. Do we then charge VAT and claim it back, or do we not charge VAT? I don't know if that makes sense.
Okay, if I understand correctly, you mentioned VAT as well. A PBO is exempt for income tax purpose. Yes, they can still register for VAT, and that is separate, but for income tax purpose, they are exempt. So we still have to submit a tax return, everything every year with financial statements, but if there's a profit at the end of a year, that one will not be taxed, provided it's a PBO, yes.
Okay. And then how long, or what is the process of converting your company? So they don't say, I assume converting it from a non-profit organization to the PPO, as you confirmed. Public
Okay.
benefits, yeah.
Okay, nowadays you have to do it online. Previously, we could have given out the forms to complete. It have to be on our website. What we're looking for is a EI1 and the EI2 form. So they type in, if they go to our website, they go to organization and they go to non-profit organizations, or they on the search button, they can type in the E, I and 1. So it's exempt institute 1. That's the form they have to complete. They have to mark precisely. There's a couple of type of organizations listed there or activities, and if they mark one or two of those, then it goes through to our Department for Exempt Institution, and if they grant it, then you will be granted as a PBO. So for purpose outside, you're still an NPO, whether you registered with social development or if you have a CRES with nowadays with Department of Education, you're still a NPO outside, but for SARS purpose, we convert it, if you fall within the criteria, then we convert it to a PBO.
Okay. And but there has to be a criteria for you to convert, right?
Yes, we're going to look at the Constitution and all those and see whether it falls within the SARS guidance for PBO.
Okay, let's see what this, okay. So this person is saying, if I've done something for government, like the work that was done around the G20, does that constitute as something public? Or is it still something I'm doing as a private institution?
I'm not sure how to answer that one precisely, as I'm not 100% sure. It depends on the Constitution, but just because I did something for government doesn't make it the activity of a PBO.
Yes, okay, that makes sense. All right. Okay, and then the last question we have, and I think we close. Should we try nonetheless to see if what we're doing with government is recognized as public? And if so, should I fill in that form? Okay. I think we've answered that. Okay, colleagues, I think there isn't any other questions. I can't see anything on social media or on or in the chat box. I've double checked. Now let's see. Okay. I have double checked. So I think we've come to the end of our program. I do want to thank all our speakers today, from SARS to the rabbit farming to Greg and everyone on board, everyone who's made the time to join us, especially at this time of the year. Thank you very much. Your information is absolutely valuable, especially to our member companies who wish to grow and scale their business. I do thank you for your time. It is much appreciated. I thank all our member companies who've managed to join the call today. You've been absolutely phenomenal. Thank you very much. And everyone that has joined on social media and other places, thank you very much. As our last webinar, I'd like to say thank you for your participation. We really do appreciate it, and we'll see you in the new year. All the best and have a blessed festive season. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.